fact, Bezos has already put over $130 million into this sector alone. Even Warren Buffett, who's typically avoided tech completely, recently invested close to $200 million through Berkshire Hathaway.
So what you're really saying here is that the smart money is going all in.
Exactly. They know it's the one sector set to explode. And look, what most people don't realize about biotech stocks is they don't move in the same way as other sectors. They are market resistant.
Meaning they don't crash.
Well, I wouldn't say that. There's risk in any stock. But what I mean is, take the crash in March last year. Do you know what the top stocks were?
Biotech.
That's right. After the first quarter, when stocks were the most volatile, my team and I recommended the #1 stock in all of the S&P 500.
That's 500 stocks in total, right?
Right.
And you picked the top one?
Correct. A biotechnology stock. Even during the crash of 2008, the top winners of that year, going up 84%, 108%, even 382%, could all be found in biotech. Chris, let's have a look at this chart. It will drive the point home even more.
Okay, I'm seeing Intuitive Surgical. That, I take it that's another biotech, right?
It is. And the reason I wanted to show you and your viewers this chart is to illustrate the explosive power of picking the right biotech stock. Chris, Intuitive Surgical went public in 2000. Was that a good year for stocks?
Oh boy, no. It's probably one of the worst.
It was horrible. But Intuitive was, and still is, a great company. Their surgical robot, the Da Vinci, was a tech marvel. It still is. And through 2000 to 2008 and this recent crash, it's not only resisted the market's downward pull, but the stock is literally up over 300x.
That is a huge gain.
It is. That turns $5,000 into $1.5 million. And for most people, that's obviously life-changing money.
Sure.
It pays off your mortgage. Chris, you've got kids, right?
Yeah.
Well, you could pay their tuition at the most expensive Ivy League college in the country, even with today's sky-high tuition. That's why I'm so excited to share my top biotech stock.
I'm excited too. What is your top play, Jeff?
Well, my top biotech is playing a major and critical role in the research going on in COVID-19 right now. It provides the testing equipment researchers need to evaluate their different potential treatments for the coronavirus. This equipment is used by over 10,000 research labs worldwide.
Did you say 10,000 different labs? That is a huge number.
Yes, this isn't your usual type of biotech company though. It's not developing a new therapy, but rather it is the bedrock for all of biotech, which makes it that much more potentially explosive. In fact, the FDA recently issued them an emergency use authorization, a kind of fast track, which means this company will be the first, the absolute first, to use genome sequencing to diagnose COVID-19. And that's critical, especially with the second wave now weighing upon us.
So, Jeff, I'm going to take a wild guess here. Obviously, if this company helps treat the coronavirus, they are going to be worth a ton of money.
Naturally. And this company has got a phenomenal business model, one of the best in the world. In fact, in the past, another tech company used it to grow their valuation from a mere $500,000 to $57 billion.
Billion. That is I can't even calculate that percentage.
I'll save you some time. That's a 10,000-fold increase. Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm not saying this company is going to go up 10,000x, but they are in a unique position in terms of their testing capabilities. They are truly in a sweet spot. However, regardless of what happens with the coronavirus, they're going to make a boatload of money, and here's a chart to prove it. As you can see, their revenues have been going up exponentially for years now.
Right, and that's remarkably stable, so this is not a flash in the pan.
Exactly.
All right, so Jeff, let's get to this recent journey that you made to Southern California. We've got a clip here of you going into this private $500 million research facility. Tell us, what are we seeing here, and what did you discover?
Sure, so what you're looking at here is me stepping inside 4570 Executive Drive in San Diego.
Here of you going into this private $500 million research facility. tell us, what are we seeing here, and what did you discover?
Sure. So what you're looking at here is me stepping inside 4570 Executive Drive in San Diego, California. That's the location of Human Longevity headquarters.
Human Longevity.
Yes, Chris, these are biotech pioneers. The company was co-founded by Peter Diamandis, who started the multi-million-dollar X Prize, and Craig Venter, a genius I'll get back to a little bit later. Anyway, this private facility is doing cutting-edge research on life extension, a market set to reach $600 billion by 2025.
Okay, so I take it that is your number one biotech stock, Jeff? Human Longevity.
No, Human Longevity is a great company, but it's not my top pick.
What?
They're still private. So investors can't buy their shares on the stock market right now.
Ah, I got you. Okay, so why is it that you went to visit them?
Well, because this lab makes use of an advanced piece of equipment, something called a gene sequencer. I traveled to San Diego to get my genome sequenced.
Your genome?
Yes. Chris, you probably heard about companies like Ancestry.com or 23andMe.
Sure, yeah.
Well, what these companies do is send out genetic testing kits which help people glean certain information about their family tree, their ancestry, and give some basic health information. But it actually goes much further than that.
Okay, so my next question is, why not just order the test kit and have done with it? Why did you travel out there?
Well, that would have certainly been easier, and it would have saved me $19,000 for the testing, plus travel. But here's the thing, Chris. Each of us has a unique genome, a specific sequence of DNA that makes us all different.
Mm-hmm.
To use a simple analogy, think of a book. Imagine every word in a book is a unique pair of DNA. Well, depending on how these words, these base pairs of DNA are put together, that determines the final book, if you will. Whether it's going to be a comic book or a romance novel or an action-packed thriller. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, I'm with you.
Well, in the same way, the sequence of your DNA determines who you are as a person, and it affects everything from the color of your hair, obviously mine's gray, to your health, to whether you're prone to certain genetic diseases or not. It's all determined by genetics, and that's why genetic sequencing is so important, because it's a blueprint to our own bodies, our own condition. Armed with this blueprint, scientists and doctors are now doing incredible things. It's being used to hack biology so that we can avoid sickness, and many diseases we once thought were literally incurable are now being effectively treated and could be on the verge of being cured outright.
Very exciting. Can you give us some examples?
Sure. Sickle cell, beta thalassemia, other blood disorders, some forms of cancer, even forms of blindness. Chris, there's a lot of negative things going on in the world right now, but on the tech, and especially on the biotech side, we're seeing rapid, incredible advances. And sequencing is at the forefront. It's like a beach ball on a wave that gets pushed first. For those who take advantage and get in early, it could mean a spectacular shift in your wealth.
So Jeff, why spend all of this money? Did you go to San Diego for health reasons?
Well, obviously, it doesn't hurt to get arguably the highest level of diagnostic support in the world. Really, the main reason I went to this lab can be found right here, the genetic sequencer.
Right. Why is that so important?
Well, to use the book analogy again, this is the machine that's able to read all of the words, all of our DNA. The sequencer pieces together the whole story about our own bodies. And that's where the magic happens. Right now, researchers are using these devices to single out dangerous genetic mutations. Eli Lilly, for example, is using it to design custom cancer therapies. It's also being used to reduce deadly misdiagnoses. Chris, do you know that on average, only 12% of patient illnesses are correctly diagnosed by primary care providers?
12% are correctly diagnosed, which means that roughly 9 out of 10 are given the wrong diagnosis?
Yes. Now, I know that sounds incredible and, of course, disturbing.
Yeah.
But those aren't my numbers, Chris. That comes straight from the Mayo Clinic. Johns Hopkins also did a study, and they found medical errors we're actually responsible for the death of 251,000 Americans each year.
Oh, man.
Medical errors are actually the third leading cause of death in America, right behind heart disease and cancer. 1 in 3 misdiagnoses lead to serious injury or death, and these screw-ups cost the economy billions of dollars.
Well, so what you're saying is that not only will this new tech help save lives, but there's also a lot of profits that go along with that, profits that are up for grabs.
Exactly, Chris. So when the first genome was sequenced, get this, it cost over $1 billion. Now, some labs can sequence a genome for under 500.
Oh, man.
That's why